Okay, here we go.
Okay.
What's the name of our show? Podcast?
Warp Factor Fun.
Star, fisting and farts.
Oh, that's such a better name!
What was it?
Warp Factor Fun.
We've said that before.
Have
Not
we?
about.
Have.
Yeah, it is a.
I also think I suggested it in jest when we first started, but I think
You suggested it with a J.
You know what's really unfortunate? I was talking about our podcast with a friend of mine.
Yeah,
and
it was unfortunate. You guys had nothing better to talk about.
Truth. And we realized, oh no, A Star to Steer Her By would be a great name for a podcast for astrologists. So if anyone out there is looking for, their astrology predictions and general nonsense, go away.
Or if anybody, wants to buy the rights for the name from us.
Mercury is in retrograde. That's why you're all whatever.
Hello, and welcome to A Star to Steer Her By, an astrology podcast. I am Jake, and I'm a Libra. Joining me are...
Chris, and I think I'm a fire sign?
This is Ames. My sign is Yield.
I'm Caitlin, Cancer Sun, Leo Moon, Leo Ascending.
And I'm a rat in Chinese astrology.
Ooh, I'm the tiger.
Anyway.
Meow.
Well, today we'll be talking about our horoscopes.
Ooh.
My horoscope told me that I would be seeing friends today.
My
Look
horoscope
at that.
told me
It turned out to be absolutely untrue.
Oh,
Wow.
I would be dissatisfied by some Star Trek episodes.
My horoscope says that it's important to take care of my emotional health today.
Wow.
It's every day. You could say that fucking
You know,
every
that's
day.
fucking horoscopes. Let's just get this out of the way, in case it wasn't obvious. This is an astrology podcast. Fuck astrology. If you believe in astrology, fuck you. And we're actually about Star Trek.
And if you don't like Star Trek, fuck you.
Yeah, if you don't like Star Trek, you've come to the right place, because neither do we, as you'll soon find out.
So you're saying we started Enterprise, eh?
Heyo. No, this week we are talking about 2 episodes of Enterprise, not Star Trek Enterprise yet.
Oh, that's right, yes.
Just Enterprise.
What, really? It's
Yeah.
just called Enterprise?
We talked about this last
We've
week.
talked
Yeah,
about
it's
this.
'cause
It's just called Enterprise.
They were afraid people wouldn't watch if they put the Star Trek on the front of it.
Because Star Trek's for nerds.
Let me just stop you right there. I don't listen to a fucking word any of you say.
Fair. Understood.
Yeah.
Is she talking again?
I don't know. What?
Accurate.
Yeah, so this week we're going to be talking about 2 episodes. Fight or Flight.
No. Damn it. Fuck me.
Fight or Flight.
Is it of or?
Or.
Great. Good. We finally jumped over this fence.
And Strange New World. First up, in Fight or Flight, we're hanging out on the holodeck, and is this the one with
Da Vinci?
Leonardo da Vinci?
I see what
He's
you're
doing a
I
flying
get
machine.
it. I get the joke.
Janeway bangs him, and he goes, Catarina!
Not a very good joke.
It's a great joke.
It did get Jake to say Catalina.
Wait, I gave you the wrong card.
I think the astrology joke was better.
I want that card again.
Oh my fucking
Because
lord.
it has lots of the...
It has
0.
2 words on it because there's nothing that happens
All right, so
in
anyway.
this fucking episode.
This episode aired October 3rd, 2001. That's
Oh, wow.
important information.
Almost
That's
exactly
true.
22 years ago.
Exactly.
Very, very appropriate timing.
We learn some new words, which I'm sure will come up later. I'm not going to tell you about them now. But basically, here's what went down.
We didn't need the card at all. Fuck you.
Nope. So we're out flying around, doing what we do on Star Trek.
Searching desperately for First Contact,
Yeah,
the movie.
Everyone's
from
bored.
TNG.
Everyone's bored to fucking tears because it turns out there's not much in space. It's a lot of
Including the audience.
space. I mean, the most we've done is we've stolen a specimen, a slug from someplace that
Hoshi,
we found.
you bitch.
Hoshi is in love with this thing, but it's dying, so great. Good job.
Yes, you stole a life form and are killing it. Morons.
And Trip's not having a great time because he wants to be out having adventures. But we come across a derelict ship. Interesting.
Finally.
So we're like, ooh, let's check it out. Maybe they're friends. And, well, no, there's nobody home. So let's just board it. Why not?
Check out their board game section.
So we board the ship, and we're wandering around. We brought Hoshi because, as we learned last week, she's completely useless on an away mission.
Does Trip get to come?
No, of course
He
not.
got to come last week. In fact, they wouldn't let Mayweather come because Trip was so important.
Well, that's the thing. He came a bit too much last week.
Hey,
He needed to...
Isn't that there's a little extra gel in the decompression chamber.
Ew.
Gross.
Semen.
That's the one. So anyway, we're wandering around the ship. No one's home, and then we find there's a room, and Hoshi looks up, and she's like, "Oh my God! There's a bunch of bodies from the ceiling, and they're all being drained out of their blood or something."
Lymph?
That's about right, honestly.
Wasn't it lymph?
Yeah, some kind
It's
of
comparable to stuff in the human lymphatic system.
So basically, they find a bunch of dead bodies that are being juiced by a juicing machine,
Delicious.
and they're
And
like,
some
"Well, you know what?
How about some rainbow chard?
I forgot to mention there's this whole thing where at first you're like, nah, we shouldn't bother boarding the ship, and then they're like, and then they leave, and because T'Pol's like, nah, procedure says we shouldn't board the vessel.
T'Pol is the biggest bitch in the world.
And Archer's like, yeah, no, but I wanna, and she's like, well, you shouldn't. So they leave, and then Archer's like, you know what, fuck T'Pol. So then they go back, and then they board the ship.
I do what I
Well, no,
want,
they
says
do.
Archer.
They do board it. But then she's like,
But they don't
"You should
help anybody,
probably
they
just
just
leave
run
the
off."
corpses
Oh, is that
there.
what? Did I get that mixed
Yeah.
up? Okay.
She did both. She was
Okay.
like,
Well,
let's
either
not
way.
go near it. And
Well, yes,
said,
but they
"I'm going
didn't.
near
They
it."
didn't leave at
Yeah.
first. They just told her to go fuck herself.
Yeah. So anyway, Spirit. Some people hear it. Some people fear it. Spirit. Some people just won't go near it.
Wow,
from?
that's a
That's
deep
the theme.
cut.
That's the theme song from Ghostbusters 2.
It is.
Word. Gotta watch. We watch Ghostbusters too.
So anyway, yeah. So okay, yeah, you're right. Yep, they leave, and then Archer's like, "No, my conscience. I gotta go back and help these people that are dead, obviously." So they go back and they're like, "Oh, maybe we'll find out where they came from. So let's try to interpret their computers." And Hoshi, why don't you try to figure out how to speak this language you've never heard before? And that's
In 5 minutes.
in 5 minutes.
Literally.
So while they're on the ship trying to check it out, get it fixed up, figure out where these people came from, what do you know? Another ship shows up, and it's a big fucking scary monster ship.
they love lymph.
And they're just salivating at the thought of drinking some sweet human juice.
Kale and Shard.
Semen?
Yeah.
They love lymph.
So we have this kind of there's just all of this B plot where Reed is trying to get the torpedoes working.
Barely.
And he just really sucks at it. And here's the thing. The Enterprise is such a piece of junk compared to every other ship in space that they're shooting torpedoes at this enemy ship and it's just literally bouncing off. It's fucking terrible.
I thought it was pretty funny.
So finally, so they're about to get, completely destroyed and then drunk by these aliens. And they got them in a tractor beam, which they've never seen anything like this before.
Ooh, that's fun.
And they're like, man, we really are in over our heads in this outer space business. And then another third ship shows up, and now this one is the same type of people that were in the juicer.
Delicious.
And-
Looking for their friends.
And then they call up, and then we have a not very interesting language barrier scene where, they're just shouting their language, and Hoshi has to the computer can't translate it fast enough, so I have to do it by myself. Whoa. And then she manages to convince them that, no, we're not the people that juiced your friends. It's actually these assholes that are trying to kill us. So turns out that the other guys are friends, and they end up shooting the bad guys that frees the Enterprise, and then they have a nice little chat off screen. We don't actually meet them. Archer just puts it in his log.
We learn their name.
An Axar or something? Axanar.
You were close, though. I wouldn't have guessed anywhere near that.
He did look at the card several times.
I did look at the card before, and I vaguely remembered what it said. But I also remember that because there was a fan film called Axanar that was a thing at a
Any
point.
good?
No. There's a long, complicated history with that I shall not bore everyone with right now.
Later then.
But anywho, yeah, and just to top it off.
Oh, the slug.
Yeah, so because there's the whole episode is really this fucking Hoshi struggling again with, do I belong out here in space? And then they have this really fucking heavy-handed thing with the slug where it's like, oh well,
you're gonna be just
fine when your new environment. So we bring the slug to a planet and we deposit this invasive species on a planet.
It may not survive.
And it probably will die or it'll either die
Or
horribly,
poison another
or
animal.
It'll eat all of the vegetation and choke out the ecosystem on this planet.
Yeah, they're fools. Phlox, you monster. You fucking monster, Phlox.
Yeah.
And also, the fucking, like, metaphor they're trying to make with this slug monster, it doesn't work. It doesn't equate to fucking Hoshi. Like, if they wanted it to be things will be okay in your new environment, Hoshi, then the slug should have gotten better.
Yeah.
And stayed with them, and then she'd have a pet. That's how you wrap that up if you want that metaphor to work. Dinguses. Who wrote this shit?
Did Mayweather do a goddamn thing?
The answer for the remainder of the series is no. As I've said before, I
He
feel...
tells a story in the next episode.
And he does have that one focus episode. But no, they horrifically underutilize Anthony Montgomery. It's really quite tragic.
You can never even tell, like, is he good or not? Like, you never know. You'll never know.
Because they don't let him do anything. He might do less, like, proportionally, obviously, because there's less series overall, but he might do less than Troy.
Does he do less than Uhura?
That's tough.
Right?
Are you counting
Isn't it?
Are you counting the movies? Because she does do some things in the movies.
She does
stuff in the movies.
She does
dance at all.
She does stuff Mr. Adventure into a closet.
Yeah, Mr. Adventure,
This isn't going to be a horror week,
dance.
but both of those are going to be on the list, I'm certain.
Not knowing how to speak Klingon. Man, I got all kinds of ammo for when we do that week.
Okay, so I'm going to get ahead of this.
Good, get it.
Before the slap fest or whatever starts, because the very poorly done metaphor of the slug aside,
yes,
I actually like this one a lot.
A lot?
Well, because this maybe I'm just because last week was so, good God, I forgot how crappy the opening was, but I could probably watch a whole episode that was literally just them dealing with the fact that all their shit is broken, and that could have been the whole plot, and I would have been just like, this is great.
That's fine. They've done things that are, because this was a very slow episode, because literally the point of it for the first at least half was there's nothing going on.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, sure, you could do that. We did that with Family, and we did that with Data's Day, an episode in which we just watched Data have a day.
I'm having a brain fart. Which one was Family?
Family's the one where eventually Picard rolls in the mud.
Yeah, he goes to Earth.
Oh, I'd argue a
Hangs out
lot.
with
Decent amount
Rogan.
happens in that.
We meet Worf's folks.
Yeah, I'd say more. But yeah, Data's Day is a good example.
Yeah, Data's Day is a day, just a normal stuff happening. In this episode, normal stuff happening, but this is also your second episode of your show.
That's true. That's
It's
maybe not a
very
great...
strange placement, considering last episode it was, adventure, let's go out there and meet new people. This whole episode, they're just so ready to meet new people, and they're so tense that they haven't met new people. And T'Pol is so bitchy and saying, like, no, you're not going to meet new people. We don't care. Vulcans don't give a shit about meeting new people, so fuck you guys.
I think they would have been better served, because I agree there's a good episode here, potentially. I really like the idea of man, we really don't know what the fuck we're doing in outer space.
That's what I kind of love.
We're in over our heads.
They were like, they weren't ready for the fact that, like, like Archer's even just like, or is it Archer? One of them is like, we're at warp 5. We should be meeting people. It's like, it's space. It is super empty, guys.
I think T'Pol even says, like...
1 in 46,000 planets or something.
Yeah.
Like they were
the
going...
The numbers are against you still.
Yeah, you're going out super gung-ho, which is great, but you are... Like, I mentioned it briefly last week, but, like, everyone's kind of jerks in their own special way. Like...
Ditto.
T'Pol can be kind of condescending, but also they're being a little, like, stupid. It's just like, you are being... Like, there's a fine line between enthusiasm and just ignoring reality.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoyed that aspect of it. Just like, they're like, why aren't we meeting people every 10 seconds? Because that's always been Star Trek. And this is, I feel like, embracing a prequel in a good, not a bad way. Because there's going to be examples of both throughout the rest of the show. But just this thing of just like, holy shit, we don't know what we're doing. And it's as basic as, again, just like, oh, right, there's probably so much downtime that we normally don't see in Trek. It's always just kind of understood. And actually seeing them all kind of like go a little fucking stir crazy because of it was I enjoyed that aspect of it.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. And I also, I think the kind of creepiness of the derelict ship was
Yeah.
pretty well done. The reveal of the bodies was well done. And then, like, just the body horror aspect.
Yeah, that's always a good time.
I even appreciated, like, again, I could have done without the metaphor of the slug.
Yeah.
But just the fact that there's, still kind of like, they didn't just do the, well, Hoshi's all set now after one episode thing. Like, she's probably going to be all set now after this. I don't remember. But, like, hey, something took more than just one episode to resolve.
See, I thought they only brought her on board to deal with the Klingon issue. I didn't realize from the pilot that her role was to this whole journey and not just for this particular mission.
My impression of her in the pilot was that she was already supposed to be in Archer's crew. Like, she was already the
Officer,
the linguist
Oh,
or
and
whatever.
it was just that they were leaving early.
They were leaving early,
That
and
makes
that's
more
why he
sense.
had to get her to leave school.
Okay, I understand that. In that
Although,
case.
admittedly, it is a little vague, because on the one hand, like, they left a little early, but I'm not sure how big the mission was going to be regardless, just because, like, at the end, Archer was like, hey, so we're already out here, so fuck it. Like, I'm not sure if it's just in the sense of, like, well, you started early, but just go with the mission as it was planned, or this counts as a shake. Maybe they were originally just going to do a shakedown and come back, but they're like, this is good enough for a shakedown, just keep going.
Going back would take more time. We're out here now. Fuck it.
Yeah.
And and it's cool, and I think that there's a lot of potential for running into interesting stuff.
Yeah.
So I do like the idea, as you were saying, Chris, that it's not the nonstop adventure necessarily that we might have expected. Problem is where it's placed in the series is the second episode.
Yeah,
is
admittedly,
pretty weak.
that's
Yeah,
maybe
and also
not.
because it's the second, it means these writers no clue who these characters are yet. They didn't even know who the actors that were going to play them would be.
Ooh,
So they're writing very blind. They don't know how cute Trip is yet because they haven't cast the character. So they're it's almost like it's almost like when they put Naked Now in TNG when they let's explore these characters by showing you kind of what they're repressing. But with this, it's let's show these characters when they have absolutely nothing to do.
Well, I mean, I feel like we got pretty good insight on to Paul and how frigid she is.
Well, we knew that.
Yeah, but now we know that she's even worse than we suspected.
I mean, again, I'd say it's like, yeah, she can be less condescending about it, but she's a Vulcan. Vulcan neutral is condescending. Like, she frequently, if you get past the deeply condescending part, has a point. It never even occurred to me before this, like, because again, we just kind of take for granted. You scan every ship you come across. She's like, some cultures might not like that. And I'm like, oh yeah, they do just kind of scan without asking permission a lot.
But then Vulcans go in and scan, as we'll see in the next episode.
Yeah. Well, and also, like, how did the Vulcans make first contact with Earth? They were scanning it.
The system, that's different. Loopholes. See, Vulcans are very good lawyers.
But not as good as Cardassians.
But yeah, I could have done without the whole slug thing. That was dumb.
And also, like, there were so many just weirdly written, paced, and shot scenes.
Yeah.
And the prime example was that one in Medical Bay, where Phlox and Hoshi are chatting about the slug, but also talking about her, not feeling out of place on the ship and wanting to go home. And they keep just rough cut, flip to one conversation, rough cut, flip to the other conversation. And it felt like it was a scene patched together out of parts.
It does.
And it was abrasive.
A Frankenstein.
Well, and even having, like, Phlox basically just outright say at the end of the scene, like, the slug is a metaphor. I get it, you stupid bastards. Is like, it's like, well, at least Phlox gets that this is dumb.
Phlox is the weirdest man alive.
Very weird.
I can't get a good beat on him. Like, he's so
sniffs
weird.
the crew.
Yes!
I don't-
Oh my god!
No sniffing!
The impression I'm under is less that, I assume, like to Paul, he just has very sensitive...
Nope, he's a sniffer.
No, he's a sniffer. He looks at a couple and just intuits they're gonna bang later. Are they actually Phlox? You don't know. You're just being a fucking creeper.
No, I think he knows.
Will they let me watch Who wrote this? Berman? God damn it!
Denobulans
Well,
are
he's
weird.
involved, isn't he?
He is.
Him and
He's highly involved.
Brandon Bragan Brahmas.
What?
Boston Brahms. Who's the
Brandon Braga.
That's it. Thank you. She's got it. She knew what I was talking about.
But I thought you were talking about Phlox. Phlox is not fucking Brandon Braga, no.
No, I was
We
talking
don't know
about...
who's fucking who.
I'm just saying a fictional character isn't fucking Brandon Braga.
No, I was
You don't
saying
know.
it wasn't Rick Berman involved. And then what's his name?
Yes.
And Ames was with me.
And the answer was yes to both.
But yeah, and then at the end, when I was watching this, like, have you guys not seen the episode of The Simpsons with the bullfrog?
Right?
Don't, like, it's bad enough you just took it. Now you've put, like, let's hope it's not pregnant, or reproduces asexually, or, I mean, with any luck, the minute they left,
life finds a way.
some sort of space hawk just came down
radioactive.
and murdered it and ended that problem.
Yeah, but then the Space Hawk got poisoned by it and spread its poison to all its other Space Hawk friends, and...
Yeah, because it's never just the slug. The slug is going to be covered in all kinds of weird bacteria.
There's gonna
and
be
shit.
some kind of fucking lower decks that reveals that this caused some sort of thing.
Oh, there was also, I
Caused
read...
the BEMS.
We see the dog likes to eat cheese, and I'm sure that dog shits fucking everywhere.
Dude, can we talk about how crunchy all the food is?
Crunchy cheese?
The cheese is crunchy. The potatoes are crunchy.
Why
Are
is
you
that
just
potatoes
upset
so
with like the
crunchy?
Foley work on it, or
I didn't notice
Well,
the
or
cheese
they're
crunching.
fucking serving them crunchy fucking cheese and potatoes. I'm hoping it's the
Yeah,
Foley.
the potatoes were definitely crunchy. I didn't realize the cheese was crunchy.
Yeah, I wondered if it was because Phlox didn't know how to prepare potatoes for himself, or
No, he
what.
got it from the resequencer.
I was gonna say he didn't prepare him.
maybe the resequencer that like,
Sucks.
Like the technology is not quite there yet, so
Which-
everything
yeah.
just kind of has a similar.
If that's what they're
crunchy
going for, that's
texture.
good, but I have a feeling that's not what they were going
No,
for.
I think it's probably just bad.
Or
It's
he
not
asked for it
anything.
undercooked.
But I feel like there's one point where I was thinking that I was like, why are we eating al dente potatoes? I think after Archer feeds Porthos some of the cheese, he takes a big bite of cheese and it's all crunch. I was
I would-
very upset.
I did rewind, though, just to watch Porthos follow Scott Bakula.
Oh, that was
It was
very,
very
cute.
cute.
That was quite cute.
Porthos is adorable.
Great dog acting. A+.
Best dog.
Also, speaking of food, Archer, Trip, and T'Pol have dinner together at the smallest table on the fucking ship.
It's a small ship.
It's a small ship, but it's considering, I don't think I brought this up last week, but I'm going to bring it up now. Perfect segue. Look at me go. This is the first Trek series in 16:9 instead of 4:3. So they've got the extra width. And I guess during the pilot, they didn't know what aspect ratio they were filming in.
Oh,
so
Jesus.
the poor director basically had to always be choosing which shots that would look good in both.
Well, I feel like for a long time in the early 2000s, until probably like 2009 or 2010, most shows were shot that way. Not because they didn't know,
So it could be both?
because most people didn't have widescreen TVs.
Oh.
Like most TVs, tube televisions that were
That's
sold,
true.
were still the old way. So most shows were filmed in such a way that they could be cropped for 4:3.
Interesting. See, now they just put the bars on the sides.
Yeah, but they wouldn't have done that because again, even
TVs were too small.
like in
back
2000,
then.
like in 2001, there were many shows I'm sure that were not even filming in widescreen yet.
Oh, yeah,
just because
definitely
the
not.
majority of televisions at the time weren't
Okay.
wide.
And SD was still the standard for a while.
Yeah, I mean HD broadcast television. I don't even know if it was readily available.
I don't think so. I think that was definitely
It
the
was only
era
on
where
sports channels, probably.
that's probably where it started for certain. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
and I noticed this shit because, whenever I'm grabbing screen grabs for the Tumblr blog, hey, check out our Tumblr blog. It's great.
Dude, people are loving our Tumblr blog.
I'm glad. people are loving it. But, because I'm constantly looking up screenshots and I try to be consistent. And I'm like, oh, god damn it, Enterprise is a different size than all the other ones. The new shows are all, like, fucking 4:1. They're all so fucking goddamn wide. The movies are all very wide. And I try to do some cropping. And then you realize, like, oh, yeah, all the earlier shows, they're tight.
They're
so
squares.
whenever people are talking, they're usually pretty close together. But now that, it's a little wider, they're still just as close together. So it's a little
I
bit...
think it's probably
a little
because they
interesting.
were conscious of the broadcast standard.
That makes sense to me now.
What's interesting is, so the earlier shows were filmed in wide format.
Right, and then we think we saw that in the documentary, the D.S. Stein
I think so,
documentary.
yeah, maybe, but they were all filmed in the wider format. And for TNG, when they were remastering it, they had to decide, because they were going back to the original negatives, they had to decide, like, oh, should we do this in widescreen? Because we're going to do an HD remaster. So should we do it in widescreen, or should we retain the original?
They retained the original, right?
They retained the original.
Because otherwise nerds would screech.
Not that's not the only reason. Like, obviously, yeah, they wanted it to be accurate, but also because it was filmed for, standard television size at the time, they would compose their shots that way. Mm-hmm. So not only was like all the action happening there, but there was like, they wouldn't worry about like equipment
you got
or
a gaffer
boom operator,
Well, and that was actually sort of an infamous problem when they remastered or re-released at some point Buffy. Because they'd done the same thing where they filmed wide, but actually,
These days, like, the removing people from screens is like the easiest thing in the world.
Yeah.
So.
But then when they did the re-release, they're like, yeah, fuck it, let's do it wide. But didn't look carefully. So, like, there are episodes, and I think they went back and fixed it or something. I'm no Buffy expert. But, like, yeah, there were just episodes where because they'd done this sort of willy-nilly, you could see boom mics and shit in this re-release. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that was just kind of standard for a lot of shows, it sounds like.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's probably because of the availability of film stock.
Yeah.
A lot of these were shot on film, and they probably were just using
just
whatever
easier
they
to
sell.
just crop it later.
Fun.
Yeah. Yeah, plus you have the extra information too. You can so if something's not framed just right, you can just pan and scan it to fix a framing issue.
The old pan and scan.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So anyway, yeah,
I guess that would explain that.
Yeah, I don't think I was trying to remember when my family got an HD television, and I want to say it was like 2005 before they had, like, my dad bought a Sony rear projection monstrosity that was sort of HD.
Neat. I want to jump to the thing, because it's interesting for an early episode to focus mostly, if there was a focus this episode, it was on Hoshi. And the whole scene with her doing the translation with the Axanar guy was the least tense fucking scene. And Archer even says at one point when she's like, I don't know what to do. And he says, things can't get much worse.
Yeah.
In the most boring fucking scene. And I'm like, are things worse? I see no stakes. Even as these enemy ships are boring into your hull and whatnot. I'm like, there's nothing happening. Yeah. It was somehow dull.
Even if there were stakes, they'd have been crunchy.
Right?
And probably way overcooked.
That scene definitely, like, did feel a little bit like, ooh, we ran short. Stretch this one out. Like, they didn't even write new pages. The director was just there kind of doing that,
Talk longer. Motion. Yeah, I think that's literally what it was. I think they just extended the cut.
Yeah.
Like a Stretch Armstrong.
Well, thank God, because I'm so sick of Hoshi being a whiny bitch. Why did it have to be so long?
Bad writing?
Yeah, there was
bad episode planning. I don't know.
And it's not even that the idea is bad. The idea is fine. It was just something about the episode dragged.
Yeah, see, overall I thought, again, I enjoyed it well enough. Again, it was flawed, but overall I enjoyed it. But I also, as a caveat, I spent, like, a big chunk of my Saturday in Starfield just surveying a planet.
Garfield?
Yes. It's the new space game. And honestly, like, I hadn't been following a lot of the build-up to it.
I'd never even heard of this, so.
It's the new Bethesda RPG. It's science fiction. It's fun. But I didn't even realize about sort of a major hook to the game until about 20 hours in, because I'd mostly been running around scanning shit. So that caveat there, I guess.
That's true. You are Chris.
You're
the side quest champion.
Oh, some of these weren't even like official side quests. I was just on a planet and being like, what kind of rock is that? Ooh, aluminum.
Oh, yes. It's like how I play The Sims. Oh, yeah. I have to just spend literal days having my character walk around to find all the things.
I got so many levels just from scanning rocks.
The last thing I wanted to bring up from my notes is, so this seemed to be like, if there was any conflict between Archer and T'Pol, it was because Archer was just doing what T'Pol wanted, effectively. Like, when she says, we should leave the ship there and go, and then he does, and then the big turn is when he decides, no, wait a minute, that's not what my decision would have been. Why did I do what she said? And then he gives the big speech, the big heroic speech. The music swells because Archer changed his mind.
Archer's kind of a douche in these 2 episodes.
Pushover.
Oh, no, jerk. He's a jerk.
He's a jerk, too. Oh, no.
Because, like, he made a decision, and then he got mad at other people because he made that decision. And, like, I get, all right, you're
He's like, this isn't the decision I wanted to. You're the captain. Make a note.
Like,
you make the decisions, asshat.
And, like, all right, fine. It's not fair to get mad at T'Pol for the decision he made, but you can kind of get it because he based it on advice she gave him. Again, it was his choice to take her advice, but then he's getting mad at Trip, too, and Trip is just like, I'm just eating dinner.
Poor Trip.
Fuck you! And in the next one, he's a jerk at one point. We can get to that then. I forgot what a jerk he could be. I really hope they calm that down soon. Fucking water polo fan weirdo. Also, to the... this is a question I had, the missiles bouncing off ships.
Nice.
I assume the idea is because, like, the timer isn't set right?
Yeah, there's something wrong with the detonator.
Oh, it was a
Right.
detonate. That makes sense.
Well, he told you he could hit the broadside of a bomb if it was standing still, but blah,
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah,
Well,
blah.
because I think it's easy to forget, at least for me, that, like, the idea of a missile, or torpedo even, is that not that it explodes on impact. You do actually have, like, a detonator, and that's all part of the whole thing, is, like, you don't just point it and go, you gotta point it, say you should get there at this point, so explode now. And I think that's because so often in fiction it just seems like they're explode on impact, and they are not. Because if they were, they wouldn't make it out of the fucking launch tube.
Well, also, like, even if it was a faulty timer, it also just seems like there was nothing that they were going to be able to throw at that other ship.
That's true. It seemed
Right,
way more
fair.
powerful.
Yeah, like
Sluggo. Throw Sluggo at it.
Because
Poor Sluggo.
I love that too.
no
Sluggo's
triple
dead
at
now.
all.
Again, Archer kind of being a prick when, like, it looks like it's actually working this time, and then the aliens blow it out of the sky with their phaser, and he gives Reed a look, and even Reed kind of shrugs like, what? This wasn't on fucking me. They got better guns. You Yankee prick. Yeah, Archer pissed me off in these episodes.
Yeah, Archer to me right now is just kind of boring.
Or a jerk.
Well, the thing is, they're trying so hard to make him more, like, bigger than he is, and I think it's just, that's not what the character wants to be.
I don't think the character wants to be. I don't know what I think about
Bakula?
Bakula. Because again, like I said last week, I do like Bakula in other things. I'm still not loving him in this.
I could be wrong. I remember they eventually start writing to his strengths. I just don't know if I'm right. And if I am right, I forget how long it takes. Oh, and I know we talked about these in a blog post, but the spacesuits are here and they're fun.
Oh yeah, I do like the EV suits. They're very cute.
Pretty good.
I like the shuttle pod's very cute. How does that docking arm work?
Slowly.
Yes.
That's
Until it works quickly.
Like, they don't have a bay. They just fly into it. It's okay. Position yourself under the arm. Wait
So it's
for
like-
the arm to grab you.
It's like a mech suit, so there's somebody standing there in like a catcher's mitt pose, like just ready to scoop the ship.
I will say, actually, that's another thing I do like. And, we'll see more of this throughout the series. It's just the fact that, like, so much less stuff is just boop a few buttons and let the magic computers do it. There is that sense of, like, again, it's still nowhere near as complicated as actual space docking is now, because it's still an incredibly delicate operation. But things are a bit trickier for them, It's less automatic.
You know what irritated me? And this is just a stupid thing that irritated me, I guess. So they have this big long docking sequence scene, and then as soon as the garage door closes, they leave the pod. And I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, how long would it actually take to pressurize that shuttle bay?
Good point.
that cavernous room.
It would
Good
probably
point.
take like 20 minutes or something to pressurize that bay.
Because they don't have the air shield like the newer shuttle
No,
bays.
so you would think that this ship would actually probably have like an air lock or something.
Well, we've forgiven a lot from Star Trek through the years. This
That's
is
true.
probably one of the less... For all we know, they just have really good pumps in the future.
Yeah, did you want to wait the extra 20 minutes to depressurize that room change?
Even I don't want to do that. And I scanned aluminum for 3 hours.
They were actively under attack at the time. It would be great if, like, the ship's under attack and it just keeps cutting to the people in the shuttle, like, looking at their watch.
Girl from Ipanema's playing in Muzak form.
Mm-hmm.
If he had to, like, try to command from the pod over comms, you know, that could have been, if written well, interesting, but... Yeah, if written well is the huge
Not
caveat.
dynamic at all.
Chris, what would you say Scott Bakula's strengths are?
Captain Dad. Like, once they start writing him as the father of a bunch of unruly children in a station wagon, it gets better.
I like him with Porthos so far. I don't like him in any other
Right.
situation.
When
He
they
and
realize,
Porthos have great
when they
chemistry.
realize,
Right?
I think that's what it is. They realize his chemistry with Porthos is for the best. They're like, all right, just have him act like everyone around him is Porthos.
Give them cheese.
Yes.
Crunchy, weird cheese.
Part
Crunchy,
of me
weird
also
potatoes.
wonders how the show would have been different if they had gone with, like, hatch-style doors instead of pocket doors.
What?
Huh?
Like submarine doors.
Oh.
Like like all the rooms have like the standard sliding pocket door.
Yeah.
But they take longer and the sound effect is different. You notice that?
Yes. They're cheaper and young and crappier technology, but I'm like, they went with like some of the submarine aesthetic on the bridge. I don't know, I think it would have been kind of neat if they had like these doors that had like handles on them and shit.
You want them to run around pretending to be seamen?
Yeah. Anyway.
Could have repurposed some of the old DS9 round doors.
Oh, those are huge, though.
True.
Shall we?
Yeah, is Archer... I remember the opening of Archer in this in the next episode is also very strange. Like, it was just weirdly acted, him hearing a squeak, tell us about
Okay,
it,
that was
Jane.
this one. I meant to ask about
I'm
that.
pretty sure it's that one. Here's a squeak.
I don't remember this at all, so you're going to have to tell us about that part.
Pretty sure it's this one.
We can discuss the squeak either way after.
Yeah,
All right,
we'll
well, I'm
definitely
going to
discuss
leave
the
it out of the synopsis.
Damn it.
Because I don't
So
fucking
important.
remember.
We just synopsized the squeak. It's fine.
All right. So next up, we have Strange New World, and not to be confused with Strange New Worlds, a better series.
Or Strange New Worlds, the title or the pilot episode of Strange New Worlds.
God damn it, Star Trek! Stop it.
They're bad at this. They're really bad at this, guys.
Anyway, this episode aired October the 10th of 2001. So we're tooling around space. There may or may not have been a squeak. I don't remember.
I don't know why that was so funny.
But again, everyone's lamenting how we ain't done nothing cool, and we meet two crewmen.
We ain't done shit.
We ain't done shit.
But good news, it's time to kill our first red shirt.
Hooray!
No, nobody died.
Oh no, he didn't, that's right.
Came
Oh
close.
shit, it might have been in Fight or Flight. Hang on, I'll find out where the squeak was.
Okay.
Like Archer.
Anyway,
boringly.
so we're hanging out with these two crew people that are kind of ticked off because they're lower decks, and they're like, oh, no one ever tells us what's going on. And then they look out the window and they're like, it's a planet. So they look at it, and indeed we're orbiting a planet. And then we go to the bridge, and they're like, yeah, it's a cool planet. And T'Pol's like, yes, it's a class planet.
It's on the card.
Minshara.
A Minshara class planet, which means it's suitable for human life. And Archer's like, great.
I think I'll call it a Class M planet for short. Read alarm.
Read alert. Let's all go to the planet. Let's all go to the planet. Let's all go to the planet and have some hallucinations.
That's pretty good.
So we do go down to the planet.
We do have some hallucinations.
And it seems like it's an idyllic planet. Garden of Eden type planet, right? Everything's beautiful. But a storm's a-brewing. So anyway, I can't remember why they decided to stay there, but...
Marsupials. There are nocturnal marsupials living on the planet, and T'Pol wants to observe them. That's why they stay.
They're very cute. They stay there because the rest of the team took the shuttle pod back to the ship.
Right. So, yeah.
Hey.
So Archer and the dog go back to the ship. Meanwhile, T'Pol, the two lower decks people, I can't remember the dude's name, the ladies.
It's on the card.
Cutler.
It's on the fucking card.
Novakovic.
Novak.
Novak. No, it's Novakovic. T'Pol.
Oh yeah, somebody else is Novak. Sorry.
T'Pol, Trip, and Mayweather all hang out on the planet. But then storms are brewing, and we got to go seek shelter. We're gonna hang out in these shitty tents, but that doesn't go well. It doesn't stand up to the storm. But we managed to escape to some caves, and while we're in the caves, we start seeing some creepy shit. Little, people moving out of the corner of our eyes and things like that. So We think we're not alone on this planet. There might be people here that may or may not be mean. Novakovich is stuck outside in the storm.
Yeah, when did he leave?
What
the fuck, guy? Buddy system, morons.
So they managed to beam him up,
Why?
but because the transporter sucks so bad, like a bunch of debris from the storm gets embedded in his body.
And they never addressed that part of this ever again.
Well, they show him they show him when he's better-ish.
You're like, I guess this is just a thing that happens when we transport now.
Yeah. Don't transport in wind is the answer.
What about a snowstorm?
Nope. Not unless you want to have snow cone mouth. It's the official transporter disease. Snow cone mouth.
Please continue the synopsis.
Anyway, we're stuck in this cave and everyone's hallucinating except to Paul. She's not really having that big a problem, but Trip's really seeing shit. And he's convinced himself that T'Pol
It's nothing new for Trip.
has been colluding with some aliens to kill them or something.
Some, dare I say, rock monster!
Yeah, the rock monsters. They live in the rocks. So he starts freaking out. He's shooting at people. He's shooting at rocks. He holds T'Pol at gunpoint. And then T'Pol calls the ship. She's like, listen, we're all fucking hallucinating down here. So what do you want me to do? And Archer's like, well, Trip, don't shoot T'Pol now. No, no, no. And Trip's like, but I really wanna, because I'm crazy. And it's so regular on the
Right?
waveform. But yes, so then T'Pol's like, I'm gonna try a little Vulcan trick I like to call reverse psychology. In which she says, you're right, Trip. I have been colluding with the aliens, but not to kill you, because they're my friends and your friends, and we're gonna have a surprise party.
It wasn't T'Pol's idea, was it? Wasn't it Archer's
It
idea?
was-
She just played along.
Vulcans would never have this idea.
Yeah, it's true. But anyway, so she
It's illogical.
she kind of sort of convinces Trip that it's not nefarious, but he doesn't really believe her, so she just shoots him anyway. Yeah, and then the next day, everyone's fine. Turns out the problem was that the wind from the storm blew in some crazy magic mushroom dust, and everyone got a little high, and it had a bad trip. And
bad trip.
That's the great name. That's a great name for this
Strange
episode. That's what they should have called it. Bad Trip.
Bad Trip.
So, okay. Using prequels badly. It was never stated outright. But to my mind, the assumption with Class M was just always, if we use Earth standard as standard, we'll put that in the middle, and then things on either end are more extreme in any direction. But nope! It turns out we shortened a Vulcan word.
We did.
Dumb. I hate it. They're gonna say it so much in this show,
Oh,
and it's
are
gonna
they?
set my teeth on edge every fucking time.
Wonder what word they shortened, or where they got Demon Class Planet from.
Well, his name was Class
It's
Y,
Y
right?
class.
I know, but Demon Class.
Yeah, I just fucking, again, bad prequel. Good prequel. Now we know it's shown, not told, why everything's based out of San Francisco. Because all I can figure is the only way you can simulate an experience like Trip had was by just dosing the cadets. And where else do you get the best acid?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I don't think you get the best acid in San
I don't
Francisco.
fucking know. Frisco acid. Seriously, though, how do you simulate hallucinations unless you're just literally talking about we gave our cadets drugs?
When were they simulating hallucinations?
At one point, Archer mentions that, like, you've been through simulations of this.
Oh, it was simulations. I didn't catch that whole sequence of him talking with Archer and Archer saying that he talked him through something.
Yeah.
That was a simulation that wasn't just a mission.
Yeah, no,
It
there
was
was,
like
so there were
training.
two things. There was the mentioned there had been simulations of being in this scenario.
Well, was it this scenario, or was it just like nitrogen narcosis?
No, that was a separate incident.
Oh.
Trip is bad at emergency situations, it sounds like.
Oh yeah. There was
'Cause he's
the
not-
anecdote that he almost took his helmet off
Because he had nitrogen narcosis. That was a different thing.
Okay,
That
that's
was
the one I'm
actually a
thinking of.
mission.
Okay,
The,
that's
like,
what I'm thinking of. Then.
high off your tits was a simulation. Which, again, how do you simulate that unless you've actually given your students drugs?
Just thinking about having a patty melt.
What?
Reasons. Cool.
No, because you said Frisco.
Okay.
Friendlies used to sell a patty melt called the Frisco Melt.
There we go.
It was a delicious patty melt. Thousand Island dressing, like grilled onions. Oh, it was on like Texas toast. So
Sounds
good.
really
so
fucking
good.
good.
And then I was thinking about patty melts. There used to be a restaurant in Cambridge called Park. Best fucking patty melt.
Rip Park.
So good. And I
Nice
haven't
Park.
had a good patty melt. I don't even know where I'd go for one. And I've just been very depressed.
If anyone has suggestions for a good patty
You're
melt
asking why
in
I've
the
lost all
Boston
this weight
area.
because I've stopped my daily
Patty melt intake.
What were we just fucking talking about?
Oh, the
Yeah.
squeak in the floor.
The Squeak in the Floor. The Squeak in the Floor was the previous episode. I just
Okay,
checked.
well,
it was
very-
the other one, but let's bring it back.
very
because
briefly.
Because we're here.
There was no resolution to it, which is even more mad.
There's gonna be resolution in a future episode in like season fucking 2.
It's because they forgot and somebody's like,
That's-
hey, there's a thing.
What they decide to call back. And I thought Voyager had some weird callbacks.
Let me find it. Hang on.
Angels and ministers of grace
Squeak,
defend
squeak,
us.
squeak. What episode is it gonna be? Yep, see, somewhere in season 2 they talk about the squeak again.
Christ alive.
But also, yeah, I think that episode just, as we were talking about, just some bacula acting. Baculating? There's Caitlin will find it for us.
If you have suggestions
She's good at that.
for where Jake can get patty melts and smashing either bacula and acting, hit us up.
It was just a very strange scene of watching Scott Bakula crawl around on the floor in a way that wasn't at all convincing.
You know.
Back chilling? I don't know. I don't know if I can do this.
That
one.
sounds like it has something to do
Sounds
with
like
dental work.
botulism. To me, it sounds like botulism. You know who we need help from is Melissa. Bring this to Melissa when you see her next for show.
I'll do that.
See if she can come up with it. I'm pretty good, but she makes me look like a portmanteau amateur.
Portmanteau.
A portmanteau, yeah, exactly.
There you go. Great.
So-
I'm glad we're here.
So this episode,
Yeah.
A Manchurian Candidate.
on the one hand, really needed a B plot.
Yep.
But on the other hand, I don't know what you could have had go with it that wouldn't have just been jarring, so there's no solution I have.
I don't know, maybe we could have had Phlox trying to watch people fuck some more. I feel like that really worked for episode 3.
Please and no.
And
Yeah,
the
agreed.
B plot is literally just occasionally cut to Phlox doing Sudokus. Oh,
That's bad.
but again,
And doing that weird smile face of his.
since we're talking about Phlox and Jarcher, I promise we'll stop portmanteaus eventually.
Sure.
Is like, Phlox is already pretty clearly upset, John, about the fact that he didn't think to do the deep cellular scan on Navakabak and he's dying and all that. It's like, fucking give him a break, asshole. You didn't think to ask him to do that either. Not that you should, you're not the doctor. But still, like, come. And he even kind of stops in the doorway, like he realized maybe he'd kind of overdone it, but then didn't actually say anything and went off. It's like, God damn it, Archer. There were aspects, this would have been a fine half-hour-long episode.
Yeah, I think I liked, once we were in the caves, I was like, okay, I'm down with watching people hallucinate.
Right.
That's kind of fun.
You can just only watch that for so long.
And again, they understood, let Connor Trinneer do all the acting, just let Mayweather and the extras go to sleep.
They can just take a nap.
They just went to sleep, and it's like,
But
wow,
I
okay,
feel like
you did
that's just so stupid. Because we get so much fucking Trip.
So much.
not complaining.
I don't really like Trip that much, I have to say.
Really?
He hasn't won me yet.
I mean, he's definitely
I'm curious to see what
he's
will
definitely
happen.
the strongest actor, I would say, on the show.
Poor
Right now, yeah.
Porthos is the best.
But yeah, it is strange to me that okay, we set up this whole away mission and we've introduced a new character in Cutler who's going to turn up some more, so it's not like a one-off.
And we've seen her actress before, Kelly Waymeyer.
Yeah, I think she was in DS9 show. Yeah?
No,
Voyager.
she was in a Voyager
Oh,
show.
it was a
She
Voyager
was
show?
she was the jealous girlfriend in Muse.
Oh, you're right. Yep, you're right.
His girlfriend in Muse.
The one where B'Elanna crash lands on an alien planet and the guy has to, like,
Oh,
And
Greek
they
plays.
make Greek
I
plays
think I
about
might
her.
have even mentioned it when we watched that.
It's
I
possible.
know I thought of it.
Yes, but that's her. And she's fine. She's fine in this.
Yeah, no, she's fine.
I wanted her and Novakovic to bang.
Yeah, I didn't care for him.
She could do better.
I thought they were banging. I sort of thought that was
I mean, they
implied.
No,
Yes,
because
they were.
Phlox wasn't watching, so how would you know?
Hey.
Creeper
But yeah, so they
Phlox.
go to the trouble of introducing this new character and just having Mayweather around, and then they just take a nap for most of the episode.
Okay,
That's
but
true.
Mayweather does get neck pinched,
He does get neck pinched.
which they really liked focusing on real tight. Like, hey, look, nerds, It's a neck pinch.
We're doing
I
the
missed
thing.
him getting neck pinched. Son of a bitch.
It was really quick. I
That's
thought.
why he's complaining about, I must have twisted my neck.
Oh.
And T'Pol kind of makes like, face.
Did she?
Good. That's a good
I don't
T'Pol
think so.
face.
Thank you.
No, because the whole time I'm thinking T'Pol stun everyone. She had a gun. Where did she have this gun the whole time? Son of a bitch, T'Pol, you can take this whole room.
Trip did take it
Trip-
away
Trip
from her
took it away
early
from
on.
her.
She got
Okay,
it back.
she got it back. Fine then. But yeah, in that case, neck pinch everyone. You can take them all.
And they could pinch everyone.
Right?
She does have the strength of, 5, 10 humans? How?
10 Grinches plus 2.
And her heart grew. No, her heart never grows.
Yeah,
She's
no
fucking
sizes.
Vulcan.
Not a single size.
Professional Vulcan.
Well, and again, the weird part is because their hearts are like where their livers should be, like, it would just cause a strange bulge in the side. There's no rib cage to
Well,
contain
then where's
it.
her liver then?
Where her heart should be, I guess?
No, it doesn't necessarily follow that that's the case.
The knees.
Yeah,
Definitely the knees.
No, that's where her genitals are.
I honestly, I am willing to bet that is a thing Star Trek just has
Can you imagine
completely
if you
ignored
had a
it.
vagina behind your knee? That would be terrible. I'm sorry, but like...
I mean, if you had a vagina behind your knee, you probably wouldn't give birth the same way that humans do. It would probably be a release of eggs into some kind of stream. Bloop, bloop, bloop. And I'm all for it. Anyway, I wanted to get
This
back...
got weird.
So originally, they were planning on Novakovich dying, and then I think what I read was Bakula was concerned that if Novakovich died and they didn't like make it a big deal that this was the first death on his ship, that it would come across as, I don't know, like impolite or something.
Well, I think that's true.
He's got a point,
I
yeah.
think that's a great
In
point.
which case, they could have cut some of the constant screaming at rocks.
Yes.
Yeah.
There was a lot of screaming at rocks.
Well,
in
yeah, I
this
mean, that
episode.
would have been an interesting B plot, potentially, is like Novakovich dies. And now we're dealing with, oh my god.
And more people could die.
And more people
Create
could die.
more tension.
Right.
Yeah, maybe that could have fixed it.
I'm gonna raise the stakes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because again, it would kind of go well with
Stakes.
that aspect from the previous episode where it's like, we really didn't think through a lot of the reality of this. And the reality is, some of us are going to die out here.
Most of us.
So many.
Everybody but Porthos.
Good.
Yeah, I mean, I also think if we were concerned about, what else is the B plot, maybe we wouldn't need a B plot if Mayweather and Cutler and Novakovich did more things. Because as much as I'm here for the Trip screams at walls show, which I could watch for days, you can't have that be a whole episode of also fucking T'Pol repeating herself every fucking scene. I'm not. Everything's fine. Look at my Vulcan acting. Is it good or not? No one can tell. Jolene, what? I can't tell if she's a good actress or not. Because they gave her a Vulcan. And Vulcans are a coin flip on if you're actually acting or just not acting.
I will say there's ways to be a Vulcan badly. And so far, she's fine.
Well, I would say laughing and throwing your head back in a great big guffaw is a good way to be a bad Vulcan.
You're a Vulcan.
Fucking Voldemort. Idiot.
You're a Vulcan.
When that weird
Star-
bastard in
Star
5
Trek
meets
5.
Cybok
Oh.
and just immediately decides he's a laughing Vulcan and not a Romulan.
Yeah.
The Laughing Vulcan would be a great bar.
Ooh.
I feel like there's something in universe called the Laughing Vulcan. I'm gonna
Stop
look
it.
that
The
up.
Laughing Vulcan and his dog, I think, is a story.
Is that what it is? That
Something
sounds
like
familiar.
That sounds right. I think Jake Sisko brings that up at some point,
Yo.
but I could be nuts.
Can we talk about how big fucking nerds these guys are?
Such
Nerds.
big nerds. What did y'all think of the rest of this episode?
Yeah.
It's fine.
It was just like...
It was like a cheap space madness.
I think it had
And-
more going on than Fight or Flight. Ish,
much.
but I wasn't here's what it was. I wasn't bored to tears like I was in Fight or Flight.
I was.
So this one I actually kind of remembered, and I kind of went in with like, oh yeah, this one's fine. And I think I never quite broke out of my preconceived notion.
I just remember what's his name grabbing a flower, taking a big whiff, and I'm like, no, never smell the flowers.
You knew right away.
I knew he was fucked. As soon as he started acting crazy, I was like, bro, I told you should never fucking smell that flower.
Okay,
You should
here's-
also never camp.
Never camp. That's true. You're accurate. Here's the other question. Should they have brought the dog with them? Because I feel like this is, again, another invasive species thing. You bring the dog down there and the dog's gonna, like, shed or get fleas out
Take a big
there.
dump.
Take a dump and ruin the ecosystem.
Where no dog has gone before.
But they added they did the dog thing for that line.
Of course they did.
Of course.
It is kind of cute. It's a
It
cute
was a
line.
good line.
Oh, I also enjoyed just cute, like, taking pictures.
Yeah.
But then he doesn't get to be in the pictures.
Yeah, well, you know. But I immediately thought of fucking Bender. Neat.
Yeah.
And that running gag they had.
Yes.
Yeah,
But also,
what
like,
I
again-
thought was, man, that is a great example of an early 2000s digital
It
point-and-shoot
really is.
camera.
But yeah, like that again is just this nice touch of like, yeah, they're early days still, so they're kind of tourists. Like they are actually
our first away mission together.
they are a little less military sometimes than all other Treks, and that's again I think that is nice because again they're less structured. They're kind of still making shit up,
And they have this Vulcan telling them what to do every single fucking instant of their lives.
again. Many times she's not technically like, yeah, maybe you should have sent unmanned probes first.
It's just the inconsistency of it. Like, last episode, we see this ship, and she's like, there's nothing useful we can see from that ship. Let's leave. And this one, they see this planet, and she's like, we will send probes to this planet. It's like, which is it, fucking bitch?
Well, I think it's her trying to compromise. It's like, all right, fine. You want to stop at every fucking backwater. Can we at least do it the Vulcan way? And they go, that's boring. And to reiterate, we don't live as long as you. We don't got time.
They have all the time in the world.
They have time to search for a squeak. For a whole fucking season.
Oh, God, though. Some of that early 2000s TV CG.
Like what?
There was just a lot of the
The
panoramic
rock
shots. Honestly, those were more forgivable. My main issue were like, there was one scene where they were like, no, this isn't just a park in Los Angeles. Look at this mountain range we very badly pasted into the background. And the shuttle coming in at the end. Like,
the shuttle looked shitty.
really,
Oh, yeah,
there
that
were
was
some
great.
really piss poor shots. Like, oh, guys, come on. You already had a few years practice by this point. What happened? You've done better on Voyager. You've done worse on DS9, but only by a little.
Yeah, transporter though, huh?
Oh, gross.
Fuck that guy up.
That poor
Oopsies.
fucker. That was unpleasant.
Oh, don't worry. Phlox will do something strange to him, I'm sure.
That's the thing, like, they don't really have dermal regenerators yet, so...
Right.
This guy's got a bitchin' story he can lie about.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I've got all these leeches. Here you go.
But when he like, later in life, Novakovich or whatever, when he's at bars and stuff, it's like, wow, why do you got all these scars? He's like, oh, I, single-handedly fought off a horde of Klingons. I was on the Enterprise, you know. Not, transporter accident.
I
And,
think it was a windstorm.
yeah, and transporters are still a bit flunky.
Neat.
Yeah, what? Okay, so I'm trying to figure out what was going on with T'Pol. So at some point she starts speaking Vulcan
Mm-hmm.
because she can't help it? Question
No,
marks?
that was Archer making an excuse for her.
I thought
Oh, I thought that was true.
I thought it was true.
Because she was doing it before she was talking to Archer.
Yeah, I think.
Oh, well, yeah, before...
Like in the scene, she just starts talking. And I wrote down, why is T'Pol talking Vulcan?
I thought she was just angry because the spores were making her crazy.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. But I think part of the spores making her crazy was also making her speak Vulcan.
Yeah, maybe. But then she then went back and forth between. That's why I thought maybe
Yeah,
at least
like,
some
I
of it
ass-
was voluntary.
I assumed she was speaking Vulcan when they were talking with the
Hoshi.
ship because she knew Hoshi would be able to translate for her, and
Yeah.
she was giving information on the sly.
Mm. Yeah, I think that's true. But I
Yeah.
also think that like she was just losing some
Control.
It
Yeah.
was unclear to me, and I got lost in why this was kind of the way they decided to do
I mean,
it.
it was a plot point. They needed a reason for her to speak to Hoshi and Vulcan.
Yeah, they needed a way to get her out of that situation, and then they decided, oh, let's plant it earlier as well. Ta-da!
Which, I mean, I did like the solution. It's like, okay, I know I can talk to her in Vulcan, and
Hey, T'Pol, just phaser everyone.
We
God
don't-
damn it.
we don't have the automatic universal translator like in later Trek, so...
I hope Vulcans know the difference between stun and kill. No, they do not. They only kill. They're Vulcans, for crying out loud.
There was a bit of that Vulcan sass at one point when she was like, well, I have a phaser pointed at my head. So one thing I
That
did
wasn't
like...
sass. She was just stating the truth.
Yes, but that unintentionally becomes sassy when a Vulcan says it.
Disagree.
One thing I did like, though, is that, and this is one of the more interesting things to me about the series as a whole, is like, they resisted the urge to just be like, all right, it's the early days of Starfleet and humanity's already perfect. Humanity is still kind of a bunch of jerks. And there's a lot of that, like, yes, the Vulcans have been difficult and condescending, but there's definitely a certain amount of bigotry there. And the fact that Trip sort of owns up at the end, like, he's not just like, I was high and that's why I said these things. He was like, some of that's definitely in me and I'm trying to work on it. And I just kind of appreciate that they're more honest in that regard. Like, it wasn't just space crazies. You know, because that's what happened. You know, people say, like, you know, oh, you know, he always says that when he's drunk. It's like, yeah, but that means it's in there.
Yeah, it's like Naked Now or Naked Time or one of the other naked things that people do all the time. Whatever's down deep comes out, and you get to watch it. And that was, you know, there was a little of that in this episode.
Yeah, but the fact that they didn't shy away from it, that there's this sort of tacit admission that, like, yeah, humanity's still they're not great yet. They're still not that far removed from their worst period, and they've got a lot of work to do. And I feel like when this show is at doing well, they kind of address that, and it is a theme that sort of goes through to the very end of just like, this is sort of a pivotal moment where humanity could get better and become the humanity we see later, or could become the worst.
We can do both. I'm going to do both, guys. Here's a question. Do they have exometeorologists?
I imagine that would just be a regular meteorologist.
Well, I'm sure like weather systems on other planets are different from each other, though.
But I bet you in terms of like, yeah, because like the composition of the atmosphere probably changes shit, but at the same time, like pressure and fluid dynamics are more or less the same.
Would you have to compensate for changes in gravity, though?
Yeah, probably.
Or like the elements available. What happens when it's raining sulfur?
I feel like, at least in the world of Trek, meteorology is a job that has been completely lost to computers.
They actually have forecasts that are all accurate.
Yeah.
They probably like look at meteorology the same way we look at like
astrology,
phrenology or astrology, like some like ancient pseudoscience.
This is our astrology episode. I love it.
Oh God, that reminds me though. For some reason, good. They're all freaking out even before the spores have driven them mad. About like, oh no, we forgot the food and water packs. It's like, it's gonna be a couple hours. What the fuck are you freaking out about?
Well, they don't know how long storms last on this planet because they're not exometeorologists.
So I'm hungry.
True, but there's
that patty melt I brought.
If anybody was freaking out, they just wanted a snack.
But there was definitely one point where T'Pol was like, I could survive without water for days. How about you? And it's like, yeah, humans can too. I mean, we don't like it, but we can. And I think by that point, they knew they just had to make it through the night. And they're still, but of course, by then they're more spored, so.
Yeah, and also it's not like we can't go outside. It's just that
we don't want
to go outside.
It sucks out there.
It does suck.
Actually, by then they may have gotten the order to keep away from there because of spores. I don't know. I will say, though, that was very similar to my one camping experience.
Spores?
Huge storm! Gave me a panic attack. Never do it again.
Spores.
It was stupid, but I did enjoy Trip freaking out about the bug with Mayweather.
Oh yeah,
like,
in his tent.
Can we squash bug? Can we squash first contact?
Now was the
you
bug...
want to stun it?
Now was the bug there, or was that a hallucination too?
It was so early. I think the bug was real because they posited that the spores were blown down by and this was just the very beginning of the thing. So I think there was just legit a bug, and they freaked out. And
because I think didn't his friend see it too?
Yeah, Mayweather also saw it.
Either way, it was horrible, and I'm never going to space.
It looked like one of the Wrath of Khan bugs.
It did.
Yeah, how that look?
Is this City Alpha 5?
Might be.
Whoa, that would be kind of cool.
That's kind of fun because originally it was paradisical.
That would be amazing, and we know those bugs are there.
Actually, we know that this planet. I'm so sorry, guys. The planet will learn at some point. I forget when or why. It gets named Archer 4. Presumably, it's the same one that got mentioned back in TNG in yesterday's Enterprise.
I'd rather it was SETI Alpha 5.
John, for your contributions to the early days of Starfleet, we're going to name a system after you. And it's the one with the planet full of drugs. Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, it also doesn't make sense that it would be SETI Alpha 5, because why would Kirk put Khan on Drug Planet?
Good point. That was his plan the whole time.
Yeah.
He knew. You know, it's like, oh yeah, no, it's great. You're gonna love it. And in the back of his mind, he's like, I've read Archer's logs. You're fucked.
I did write in my notes, they use mind-altering agents in Starfleet training ? Apparently, I totally
forgot.
See,
we had the same thought.
My final note, all of this was definitely George Webb.
Yeah.
From the Ghost Story.
Oh! Sorry, you said George Webb, and I brain farted and thought the James Webb Telescope?
George Webb.
That didn't exist yet. What are you talking about? Yes, George Webb. There we go.
Mayweather got to tell a story.
It's true, he
Yeah,
did.
he
It's
did
like
do
he's
the-
a character on the show.
I like him.
I like
Yeah,
him too.
he's
They
good.
just
Yeah,
never
he-
do much with him.
yeah,
Is
he
the
just-
problem? Like no.
Yeah, I have
knowing-
nothing against him. They just forget he exists.
Knowing ahead of time that he's not going to do much, like it colors when he does do stuff because then you're like, oh right, I keep forgetting about you.
I mean, there is a non-zero chance that Pulaski has more lines than Mayweather.
She's definitely got more presence because Pulaski is excellent.
Who's more racist?
McCoy.
Pulaski. True.
We're not talking about McCoy though, but well, connecting to that, the damn dirty hobgoblins with their green blood and all that shit. Today, we're gonna move on to talking about Spock, which is appropriate because we talked a whole lot about T'Pol and how Vulcans are fucking the worst.
Spock'em.
And Spock, being our first Vulcan, is the best at being the worst, but also the best at being the best sometimes because he does some good stuff. So as we did last week, if you missed it, how did you get here? But anyway, last week if you missed it, we did a Kirk spotlight. Go check that out. It's on the Tumblr, it's on the SoundCloud, it's on whatever episode we just did. But this week we're going to talk about some Spock stuff. Does everybody have favorite moments and least favorite moments that came out of Spock?
I'll tell you what comes out of Spock.
Ew.
Plomeek soup.
Gross. Yeah, I got some Spock.
Did you finally get some Spock ideas, Jay?
Yeah, I got some Spock.
You want to give
You
them
want
to us?
you want some Spocks?
Give them to us.
Spock, yeah. All right, so we're doing tops or bottoms first?
We did tops last time, so let's do tops again.
All right. I'm going to say mind melding with the Horta.
Nice. I had
Yeah.
that as an honorable mention
Yeah.
because I also just love Horta.
Yeah, and I mean, and I kind of put that as like a category of things, like just mind melding with
Yeah.
random shit.
Ships
A cloud.
Cloud, nomad.
through the wall.
Yeah, but I think that's a good one because he ends up saving that species or that specimen, I guess. I'm going to say, this one I'll describe with a quote. They are not the hell your whales.
Ooh, that is a good quote.
Ermine Violin.
And pretty much anything pertaining to Spock in that movie.
He is a delight in that movie.
Swimming with the whales, swearing at people, neck pinching the guy on the bus. Just lots of good Spock.
Well, that's too many things.
I mean, yeah.
Well, that's why it's just the catch-all of
Yeah.
Star Trek 4.
Yeah, not the hell your whale. And then I think, no list could be complete without his scene in the reactor.
Oh.
Yeah, the twalk scene, the twalk
twalk,
sacrifice.
Where he got twacked.
And then everyone cries.
Right in his twalk. Right in Spock's twalk.
Cute.
So yeah, I think those are my tops for Spock's. My top Spocks.
Top Spocks. Who else has some top Spocks?
All I can think of is a bottom Spock, which is how much he loves Nazis.
He does love that.
Well, we're not on bottoms yet. Well, wait, but hold that one for a moment.
So Jake took two of mine. The reactor room
Yep.
and Star Trek 4. Basically. Okay, I lie. I was gonna specifically say, like...
Yeah, be more
The
specific so I can get more screenshots.
just being like, I'm just gonna mind meld with this whale. Because why the fuck not? And causing a whole scene. I love that. It's great. He doesn't
Maybe
care.
they're talking to that man.
Yeah, honorable mention that lady.
Yeah.
Wow. That lady has the best
She's the
moment.
greatest actor in all of Star Trek.
Did we ever look her up? Would it be kind of hysterical if she was like someone huge that just got to do this scene?
She would go on to become Kirsten Dunst.
Ah.
I don't think that's true.
And doing his best to overcome centuries of prejudices to reunite Vulcan and Romulus.
Wow.
It's a
yeah.
terrible idea in some ways, but it's an admirable
But
mess
boy-
of an attempt.
But boy, did he go with it.
He did. He did.
I have a couple of potentials over here. I want to go with an actual very brilliant Spock moment because Vulcans are supposed to be all smart and shit. He figured out what was going on with the ship because his chess program was broken in court-martial, and that's just fucking clever. And I give him a lot of credit for that scene because that's smart. Good moment for Spock there. Also, I shouldn't give Mirror Mirror because that's not technically Spock.
Oh, I was just thinking Mirror Mirror, actually.
I know, right?
It's a Spock.
Do you want
It
to give that
counts.
one? I'll give that one. Here,
It's
Caitlin
at least
can have that one.
Nimoy, so...
Tell us about Mirror Mirror, Caitlin.
Well, I'm assuming you mean at the end when he realizes that...
He should kill Kirk.
Yeah. And bring some peace.
Yeah. Bring peace to the mirror universe so that all of Deep Space Nine can happen. Actually, that might be a bad thing.
Nope, now I like him even more.
No. I'm also going to give it to... Oh, do you have one?
Bread and circuses when he and Doc are touching dicks.
I mean, also, like, McCoy can't fight. He's McCoy. He's bad at it. I mean, I love the guy, but he can't fight, and Spock just... He basically fights two men because McCoy's not doing anything. Oh, here's a good moment. Totally playing, or not, the Romulan commander lady in the Enterprise incident.
Oh.
Because she's into him, and he's like, all right, I'm going to run with this. But it's like, you could have that.
Is that the root of it?
The root of what?
Is that why he was like, I have got to get Vulcan and Romulus back together?
Yes!
She will be so impressed and will fuck me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she was going to do it anyway.
True.
I can fuck her without breaking treaties.
She was into it. And...
New headcanon.
I'm going to pick one more. I'm going to pick... Oh, here's just a really random one. Because another little clever moment from Spock that I'll throw on my list. I love you, but I hate you. From iMud, which causes the two twin robots who are the exact same to fucking brain... fuck. Brain fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, it works.
That's a thing I said.
I mean, brain fuck, that's more Demolition Man, but...
Just a good moment from Spock. Do you have any others you wanted to throw in there, Caitlin?
Oh, well, I like the Ermin violin thing.
The what?
When in Trouble at Tribbles, when he's like sort of digging the Tribbles, but he's trying to pretend that he doesn't.
I don't remember. Violin thing?
He mentions that, like, an Ermin violin would be pleasant to listen to or whatever, but there'd be no point in having it or something. It's something like that when he's trying to pretend he doesn't like Tribbles.
That sounds familiar. I don't remember it specifically.
Fine, cut it.
No, because I can definitely, hear Nimoy saying Ermin violin. I just don't remember the exact line or situation.
Yeah, I don't remember it either.
You have out-memoried us this time.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, the laughing Vulcan and his dog was actually from Disaster.
Oh,
it's one of the things he suggests singing to the annoying children of annoyance
Oh.
when they're climbing the turbo lift.
Or no, they want to sing that and he doesn't know it. So
Is that what... Okay.
Yeah, they're like, oh, we could sing this song. He's like, I don't know that song. Let's do Frere Jacques.
He actually knows that song, but it's the baby shark of the 24th century, and he's like, no! I do not need it stuck in my head!
Oh, that's what it is. Doc is like, but they make a pleasant noise, and he's like, so would an Ermin violin doctor, but I see no advantage in having one. I like when he's sassy.
Yeah, That's a good Spock line.
He gets some good sass.
Yeah, see, Spock knows how to do sass. I'm not convinced T'Pol next can do sass yet.
No.
And also, I feel like Spock's just default setting is find things fascinating.
Yeah.
Which no other Vulcan ever really does.
That's his human half,
Maybe. Or maybe it's his science officer half.
I think it's
T'Pol
maybe...
seems
top
to be
half.
a science officer.
It's his human half tempering his Vulcanness. And that's what it is. He's the best of both.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What is T'Pol's job? Is she just first officer? Or...
Science officer as well.
Is she
She's got an eye thing like he has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's a great scientist. She has zero curiosity.
Right.
Which you think would go
that
hand in
means-
hand, but...
That means she's very objective.
Yeah. But Spock had curiosity, and I liked that about Spock.
But Jake, when has Spock made you upset?
That son of a bitch Spock.
All right. So yeah, I mean, there's these are a few of the times I don't know if these are the best, but these are ones I occurred to me that I think count. The time that he killed his best friend in the whole wide world
Kirk?
over some broad.
Yep. I literally wrote down everything about Pon Farr.
Yeah.
So.
and I think we can all agree that Pon Farr enough.
Yep.
This is Pon Farr enough. I'm going to say another one, and this again is sort of a category, but I'll cite a specific example for the purposes of reasons. Having fucking extra eyelids.
It's not really Spock's fault.
But
That's
not-
the writers.
Not telling
Yes,
anyone he
that's
didn't have
the
extra.
category.
The not... Yes.
Not
yeah.
giving up
anything.
Yeah, another good example of that is like Oh, yeah, the ambassador and his wife are my parents, by the way.
Which I will tell you when they're next to you.
Yeah. Oh,
Or-
awkward.
Or when it's very, very applicable and people need to know that you're going through Ponfar and be like, nope, I'm not going to tell you because it's a weird sex thing.
Oh, that terrorist? Yeah, half-brother.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, just playing it too close to the vest.
Yeah, he does that all the goddamn time.
And then I think I'm going to give my top-bottom marks on this one by a mile. I know I usually say in no particular order, but this one is definitely my least favorite Spock moment of all time. The fucking assault of Valeris.
Yes. Yep.
That's probably on
Yep,
everyone's
yep.
list, right?
It's on my list too.
Mine too.
I was waiting for someone else to say it
Yep.
because I have some spares just in case. And I was like, yeah, that one's going to be on a lot of lists.
Yeah, no, that's on my list.
It's just... Also, the way they shoot that scene is just so uncomfortable and violating.
Well, they clearly want you to be, though.
But it's gross.
It is, but again, they want...
Yeah, it's supposed to be a violation.
It's so nonsense.
And ultimately pointless.
The funny thing about something like that, they invented the neck pinch so that Spock wouldn't have to punch people out because that felt not right for Nimoy or not right for a Vulcan to just punch people out. They wanted to do something that was more cerebral and interesting. And they do the mind meld so that you can, learn about people. But to use the mind meld as a weapon, that sounds counterintuitive to the character.
Yeah,
but this is Spock Mach 2.
Oh, that's a good point.
But also,
the one who banged Robin Curtis. Neat. Everything about Ponfar.
Maybe she liked it rough.
So yeah, the Valeris scene definitely on my list.
Yeah.
Wiping Kirk's memory at the end of Requiem for Methuselah.
Yes, I have that one too. That one's fucked up because it's without any consent.
Yep.
Fucking damn it, Spock.
And also, again, I think we probably said at the time, but everyone else remembers that mission. What happens when they mention it to him?
Who knows?
And this one's a bit more vague. It's hard to tighten, but his motivation in the motion picture. He basically just shows up for essentially completely selfish reasons. And it works out for everyone, and he kind of is like, oh yeah, that's right, you're my friend. I was reminded of this. But his initial sort of reason for showing up and helping and getting involved was because he heard this mind from space and felt maybe it would be able to solve his personal issues. And it's just that's actually kind of dickish if you think about it.
Right, because he was in the middle of some...
The Colinar?
The Colinar,
thank you,
yeah.
Jake.
A colonoscopy?
That's the one. And he's like, but wait, the Enterprise. I have to make this about me.
Yeah, and he kind of semi-hijacks the mission.
He does, that's true. He really does. I'm gonna take this EV suit and just go fly
Again,
into
it all ends
I
up...
go mind meld the space thing.
It ends up working out, but when you actually look at his motivation, not in retrospect, you're like, hold on.
Yeah.
Wait a fucking
We
minute.
didn't tell anyone you were doing this. We could have just left you here. Idiot Spock. He does some very stupid things.
He does.
Was that three? Yeah, that was 3 things from
Yeah.
Chris. If you want to spare because you overlap with Jake so much, feel free.
Nah.
All right. I have too many on my list. I have way too many on my list. Okay, we already talked about everything about Ponfar. I'm taking that off because I'm so angry that they made Ponfar a thing because it's an interesting episode, but it's just the fucking wrongest.
It just needed to then just never be mentioned again.
Yes, I'm gonna say every fucking thing in the menagerie. Because deciding I'm just gonna go effectively mutiny, kidnap a whole lot of people, not tell anyone what I'm doing, steal a ship, make Kirk almost die in a shuttle pod because Kirk didn't know he was gonna make it back to the ship alive. All because I've decided, without telling Pike, how Pike's life is going to go, and that's fucked up, Spock.
It never occurred to me. I always think of him as him kidnapping Pike, but yeah, he ostensibly kidnaps the entire crew of the ship, doesn't he?
He tricks everyone, and yes, you're supposed to say like I said earlier with the chess program thing. It's very smart that he did all this, but it's also fucking fucked up. Spock, you monster. Spock monster. I also want to say whatever the hell was happening in the Tholian web.
Yeah, he was pretty much just ready to write Kirk off, wasn't he?
Yeah, they were just all out of character that whole episode, and it felt wrong.
Yeah, because Kirk was being a jerk to everybody, wasn't he?
Kirk's a jerk.
No,
No.
he was.
Kirk was missing in space.
Before he went missing in space.
Oh,
Kirk was?
Was he? I don't remember. It's kind of been too long. It's possible.
But is that the episode where
It
he's
might be mixed
acting
up
like...
with Enterprise
I might be
Incident.
mixing up with Enterprise Incident.
Yes,
Right, that's
not
the
that
one where
one.
he's acting like a jerk, so everybody's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's when Kirk's a jerk. Yeah, the Tholian web is where Kirk just vanishes into space.
Oh, right. I knew that, but I just couldn't remember why they ended up going over to the
Defiant.
Defiant. I was going to say Constellation, but that's a different one.
Yeah. I think because it had been webbed and the crew was missing, but the ship was still kind of there, and they were trying to figure out what the hell was going on.
But yeah, you're right. That's the one where, like, Bones and Spock were having a
Yeah, they were having just a little tiff the whole episode long, and it was just meaty. It was just dumb. It was mediocre nonsense, and I hated that. It felt out of character for both of them. And my last one's just going to be just a little thing, because why not? Because it's the best one on my list. Not thinking about the Captain Christopher legacy in Tomorrow is Yesterday. Because they bring on Captain Christopher, and they're like, he doesn't do anything particular in the universe, so it's okay if he doesn't make it back. And then they realize, oh wait, his son goes to Venus or something.
And if anyone really should have been thinking in the long term, it's him.
It should have been Spock. He should have had that fucking down.
I mean, they've clearly fucked it up, though, because at this point, Captain Christopher, 1966, 67 or something, right?
Temporal Cold War.
Okay.
Yes.
Because his son has got to be in, like, his 50s at least by now.
Yeah.
So.
Temporal Cold War.
Okay.
Told you that's what they were going to do.
Remember that time that Spock took credit for Uhura and Chapel's brilliant plan to save the men in Siren Planet or whatever?
Yes, I do!
And I really feel like that was just the writers, like, forgetting that they wrote it a different way. But as
It
far
was
as
a terrible show.
But what the fuck,
This
Spock?
is from
The Lorelei Signal.
Yeah.
That's it. Thank you.
Yeah, I remember that. What a little bitch, Spock.
Thankfully, Mr. Spock had a plan. Get the fuck out of here.
Wow, I have just forcibly ejected that whole series from my mind, so well done.
Well, this should
remembering
show you
that.
how hard I'm scrambling to come up with things about Spock.
No, clearly that really made an impression, though, because you remembered it.
Well, I liked that episode because it was all ladies.
Then they fucked it at the end.
Yeah.
Lady episode.
That's why I was mad. That's probably why I really remember about it, because it makes me righteously angry.
Was that also the one with one miscolored arm chapel, or was that a different one?
I don't remember which one that was. What else have you got, Caitlin? You had one before and I didn't write it down. What was it?
He loves Nazis.
He loves Nazis.
He does love Nazis.
He does love Nazis.
He loves mind rape. And it's kind of, I feel kind of bad for the Doc, because he forces his brain into his brain.
Katra.
Katra, thank you.
Oh yeah, that is kind of dangerous of him too.
I
Kinda
mean,
thought of
like,
that.
it's for the best ultimately, but it's kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
And
He doesn't warn him. He had time to warn him.
also, whatever the fuck he was wearing at the start of Star Trek 4, that fucking terry cloth.
I would say that
karate
looks
gi.
comfy as fuck. I want one for
I
myself.
mean, he pretty much wears that through the whole movie, doesn't he?
Yeah, I guess he does. He looks like a fucking.
Wait, not Search Rock, for part 4.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
I said 4.
Oh, I think so.
I think I said 4.
Now I'm not positive.
Well, I
In
meant to
four,
say
yeah,
4.
in 4 is when he's wearing the weird gi.
Which, again, like...
That looks like it's made of towels.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, he was the director, and he was like, I want to be the most comfy person on this shoot.
I mean, it's a
Smart.
good thing he was made out of towels because he went swimming with those whales and
True.
they didn't dry off after.
I have a couple honorable mentions that I was. They were close. I can't tell if I would have swapped any of them. Not stunning both Kirk and Garth in Whom God Is Destroying. Because it's like, okay, when you got a double Kirk going on, you got stun settings like we just saw with T'Pol. Son of a bitch. It all works together. You stun them both.
That's true.
Don't wait. Do it now.
It's not like in any other movie where it's a normal gun. Like, you actually have a gun that can just make people go to sleep. It has a nap setting. That's what they should call it. Not stun and kill.
Granted.
Nap and kill.
Granted, when T'Pol shot Trip with just stun, it threw him into a wall.
Well, they haven't exactly tuned it
Yeah,
yet.
stun is not so much a guarantee as a theory in these early phasers.
Especially because she hit him from pretty close up. Like, they always say that even at close distance, stun is pretty dangerous.
Oh my god! Wait, sorry. I meant to bring this up earlier and I'd forgotten.
Bring it up now and insert it in.
No, it's staying here.
Yay!
Last week, one of my biggest complaints was that why did they have 2 different types of ray gun on board?
Okay.
So they could have the big phaser reveal partway through the episode.
Ta-da.
But they did mention in Fight or Flight that not everyone is rated on the phaser yet.
Oh, that's true.
So the fuckers
They're
retroactively...
like, Hoshi, you get this slingshot. The rest of us get guns.
Well, they do actually... That's the thing. She hasn't been rated on it, but he's like, fuck it, take one anyway.
It works the same as every other
But
gun.
in theory...
You're pointing at what you want to die.
Yeah. But still, in theory, that is actually an in-universe explanation. Not everyone is fully trained on the phaser yet. Although, again, how different is a phaser from the other ray gun? But whatever. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, another honorable mention. And this one, I probably should have swapped this for the Captain Christopher thing. But
That's
I wanted
fine.
to bitch about the Captain Christopher thing.
Crafton.
Everything in Galileo 7.
Yeah, he fucks that up pretty
Spock,
bad.
you can't lead. Don't do it. Don't try.
Is that the one with Alexander? No. What's his name? What's the little
That's Plato's
No,
stepchildren.
yeah.
Yes, his name is Alexander.
Oh, okay.
That's the one where they're trapped on the
Planet.
On the planet.
With the
Being,
giants.
and
The shuttle.
Bigfoots are attacking.
Yeah.
And Spock has to decide who lives and dies, and he's really bad
Well,
at
I don't
it.
remember this at all.
It's funny.
They weren't
Clearly, we're
Bigfoots. They were... What were they
They were
called?
giant cavemen.
I'm sure they had big feet.
That's true.
Well, I mean, they did insofar that they were giants. But it's funny. I had a total brain fart. You said Alexander, and I was like, that's TNG. Because I forgot that guy's name was Alexander. And I was just like, I don't think they ever met.
I was about to argue with you and be like, actually, it's Deep Space Nine, but it's both.
True.
Yes.
But I was thinking all of Alexander was Deep Space Nine because, of course, Loaxana is in both too. So I was
True.
Yeah, but that's the
like,
thing. Like, Alexander of Deep Space Nine is good.
Yeah.
Like, there's good Alexander content on Deep Space Nine.
good
Ish.
Loaxana
Better.
content too.
Not good.
He's in like 2 episodes, though.
And they're too good.
And they're totally okay.
But this isn't Alexander week. This is Spock week.
One
Oh,
more.
God, is it ever going to be Alexander Week?
God,
You better
no.
believe it.
You can have that one on your own. Last one, just immediately jumping to wanting to kill Mitchell and where no man has gone before.
I
That's a
mean,
good, right?
That's good.
That's true. That could fit either place.
Sorry, Captain. Your best friend has been possessed by space.
We must kill him.
We-
There's got to be another way, Spock. No.
That's right. I forgot how eager Spock always was
Nope,
to
must
kill. In like the first season and a half of
Came
Star
up a
Trek.
lot.
Makes
He's-
Janeway's lust for blowing up the ship look almost normal.
Yes.
Almost. Yeah. Yeah, God, I forgot about that. He wanted to murder so much.
Quite a lot.
I mean, that's logical. It'll take care of the problem.
Yeah.
Quickly, without pain, without risk. I'm not saying it's good, but it is logical.
TOS, way more Vulcan murder and mineral rights debates than you'd expect.
A lot.
So many
So
mineral
much.
rights debates.
So much mining.
Just loads.
Dilithium every other week.
Mhm.
Oh man, I don't have to do the outros anymore. It's my,
Oh shit, that's right.
It's my new favorite
I forgot.
thing.
Oh,
Shut
God.
up.
Because speaking of dilithium, I'm gonna fucking dilithium if we don't get the air conditioning turned on soon.
Ha
Dilithium.
Well, thank you for joining us as we take our first tentative steps into Enterprise proper. Next week we shall continue the trend with Unexpected and Jake's favorite TV series, Terra Nova.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I forget who it is on this show. Is it Braga that ends up working a lot on Terra Nova?
Probably.
Might be Braga.
I don't know.
It's terrible. Braga, damn you.
It's a terrible show. We should review it sometime.
Oh boy.
Oof. There's not much of it. Thank God. Thank fucking God.
So yes, as always, I forgot how to do this. Found us on social media. We're on Facebook and technically Twitter, but I don't think we really use it anymore, and we should just get off there because it's a cesspool.
I share our things at least.
Oh, good.
Isn't it called X anyway?
Yeah.
Ugh.
And subscribe to us on your favorite platform. We post via the SoundCloud. Is that everything?
Stitcher, Google Play, Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, we just blanket now. Just whatever you use. We're there.
We do?
Probably. Pretty
That's
much.
I started doing that.
Oh, all right,
I
fine,
don't name
fine.
them all.
Yeah.
Tumblr.
Yes, there we go. I knew there was something else. We are on
Podcast.com.
Tumblr. We recently posted the fanfics, and we'll have the things we talked about today about the Spock. It's a good time. We have a lot of stuff there thanks to Ames. So yeah,
It's my second job.
It's
I don't
her
know
second
why, I don't know
job.
why I did this to myself. It's
Briefly
a lot of
did.
fun. I find it very satisfying.
You can't help it. You just like having another column on your spreadsheet.
That's what it is.
That's exact. Nope, she found it. That's what it is, and it's color coded blue.
It is. I've
It's
noticed.
the blue
Yeah.
column.
Yep.
I'm the worst.
I probably look at the spreadsheet the second most after you. And the gap between you and me
Insofar
is...
as you look at it at all, yeah.
I didn't even know there was one. So you got me.
Well, I will get better at these again. It's been a while. This has been Chris.
This has been Ames.
This has been Caitlin.
And this is always Jake.
And now for the necessary silence. For with a fucking slug, which is dead.
Oh, poor
Dead slug, dead
Sluggo.
slug. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when you
Turn the AC on. Jesus Christ.